Now, a YouGov poll published for The Times today is showing a pretty dramatic decline in support for the Conservative Party and now a 10-point lead for Labour. It's the party's biggest lead since December 2013, nearly a decade ago, and it puts Labour's support at 38%, the Conservatives at 28%, and the Lib Dems doing pretty well at 13%. Let's get a view on all of this by joining John McTernan. He's a political strategist and was a Labour advisor. John, very good afternoon to you. This is clearly a significant lead for the Labour Party, though perhaps unsurprising. If they weren't doing well now, you'd have to raise some serious questions.
It's a very, very good result for Labour. And yes, it would be bad if Labour weren't doing well, but Labour were incredibly damaged in 2019. We mustn't forget the Prime Minister has an 80-seat majority. He won a landslide. He won ground in almost every Labour area across the country, apart from London. This is a remarkable turnaround in a very short period of time, just over 2 years since the election defeat of Jeremy Corbyn in the Labour Party. So it's more than simply a normal midterm. It's a massive recovery for Labour from the worst defeat since the 30s.
And now, John, you used to advise people like Tony Blair. What do you think Labour's strategy is about calling for the Prime Minister to resign? Because in some ways, when the opposition call for the leader or for the Prime Minister to resign, it makes it almost less likely, because it appears that you're caving in to what the opposition party wants. What do you think was going through the kind of special advisors and the advisors in the Labour Party, suggesting to Keir Starmer, Angela Rayner and others that they should call on the Prime Minister to resign?
So you'll see from the smaller parties, the Liberal Democrats and the SNP, there's an instinct to call for the Prime Minister's resignation on almost anything. And that is wrong. You become the patron saint of lost causes. If you keep calling for resignation, that's never going to happen. So what Labour have been doing is waiting until the moment. And the thing about great barristers, and Sir Keir Starmer's a great barrister, is you don't hit the opponent every time they're weak. You hit them when they're at their absolute weakest and give them a decisive blow. And what Keir was actually saying, he was saying, and his advisor will have been advising him to do this, he was saying what the Tory backbenchers were thinking. So you're right, a call for resignation can unite the party. In this case, it's united the backbenchers of the Tory party going, yeah, that's what we think too. And I think as they go home this weekend to their constituencies, they'll be doing surgeries, they'll be in the high streets, and they'll be feeling the full force of public opinion. Everybody who I know who had a terrible, tragic event on the 20th of May, who's in my family circle and my broader friendship circle, are telling me what happened to them on the 20th of May 2020. We're going to see a lot of that happening to Tory MPs, and I think that they'll come back feeling the country has moved. And that's what Keir was putting, was that I'm saying what you're thinking. How are you going to do it now? Are you going to put the Prime Minister out of his misery, put the country out of its misery?
In saying that, there's a train of thought that may well suggest that actually Labour might be better with Boris Johnson, particularly a bloody and wounded Boris Johnson, remaining as Prime Minister, rather than, a fresh Prime Minister who might be significantly better in terms of opposition for Keir Starmer. Wouldn't it be better for Labour maybe to keep Boris Johnson in his job?
Look, I think in the end, in politics, a scalp is a scalp. Politics is a contact sport. And you can't try and hold somebody in place because you think that the next person might be better. The thing is, if the Tories do replace him, it will be the fourth Prime Minister in 5 years. And that tells you something about the chaos inside the Tory party. That tells you something about a lack of stability. And that tells you about a party who at the next election are looking for an unprecedented fifth term in a row. There haven't been 5 terms in a row since we had democratic elections in the UK. They're tired out. It's time to have a rest. It's time to renew and refresh. Absolutely. In opposition, that's what the voters do. And there comes a moment when the voters make their mind up about you. They did that with Gordon Brown. They gave him a chance. He could have had an election in 2007. He'd probably have won it or formed a government after it. He didn't, and people went, well, we're going to have to put you, we're going to have to put you into opposition while you sort your party out. It's taken us 10 years. We're back in the race now.
Quickly, John, though, but realistically, and you mentioned this earlier, talking about historic precedent, the Conservatives got an 80-seat majority. It would take a swing not seen since, I think, the Second World War, bigger than we saw in 1997, for Labour to win that election. That is too large a hill to climb, surely, in just a couple of years.
I think a majority is still hard to see. However, it takes a 10% swing for Labour to form a majority government. It takes 5% for the Tories to be in a place where they cannot form a minority government. That's the challenge for them. The SNP will never support a Tory government, so they've got a bigger hill to climb to maintain themselves in a winning position. So 5% swing, that's plausible. 10%, that looked like a dream until recently. This is a big gap now between Labour and the Tories. And the question the Tories will be asking themselves and their pollsters is this the floor? Have we hit the floor, or is there further to go?
Okay,
Theresa May went down to 17 at one point.
Okay, John, appreciate your time. John McTernan there joining us down the line, former Labour advisor.